Okay, so moving on, we're going to use this, not sign up helper. We're actually going to use some similar components from the sign up helper. So we're going to start off with this opening PHP tag, which is just the $, question mark, and PHP. Since this is going to be an entirely PHP document, I don't need a closing tag. We're going to be using a very similar kind of setup with our sign up helper because we're still going to need to get the input that people are going to be giving us. So let's see. Right here, a lot of these are going to be the same. So I can still use like the password checking. I can use a lot of the components from our sign up helper in our login. We're still going to be, oh, I need to change this name here. That's not sign up submit. That's going to be login-submit. All right, and yeah, we're going to be using login helper. So I'm going to go to my sign up helper and I'm going to copy and paste some of the stuff right here. I'm basically grabbing these post segments right here, and I'm going to do a little bit of modification. So I'm not going to get the username. There's only 2 fields that we're really going to grab. And that's going to be uname-email and pwd. And we're just going to check to make sure that this has been clicked using that isSet method. So I'm going to go ahead and paste, and I'm going to close out that if with this curly brace right here. I'm just going to do a uname field right here. It's going to be uname-email, I believe is what I had. Yeah, uname-email. Don't need this email field, and the password is just going to be passw. So again, what this post variable is, it's a super global variable. And what that means is it's accessible anywhere, anytime. And this is basically a collection of all these key value pairs. So I have a key named uname-email, and that's going to store the input that someone gives us when they post this, when they submit, when they click that submit button. And it's not going to be sign up-submit, it's going to be login-submit. Make sure that you've got this require statement going on right here. And I'm going to just fill out the else component while we're right here. If we scroll all the way down, we're able to just copy and paste from our sign up helper. And instead of going back to signup.php, we're going to go to login.php. And then afterwards exit, meaning we're done with this page. We're done with the script right here. All right. So yeah, first thing that we're going to do for our checking is we're going to see if this field is empty, or if this field is empty. And if that's the case, then we're going to throw them back in to fix their mistake. So we're going to have an if statement. Oops. We're going to have an if statement. And the condition is going to be using this empty method right here twice. And we're going to use the 2 pipe symbols. That'll be our or. And what's going to go inside of here is going to see if uname is empty or if passw is empty. I'm going to give a little bit of space between these guys so you can see it. Okay, if it is, we're going to actually copy this, So we're going to be using it for a number of these things right here. Just going to paste that. And we're going to give ourselves an error message, and this is going to help us check. And that's going to be empty field. Empty field. Okay. We don't need to do an else and have like a nested situation here. We're just going to do this check. So assuming that these are both, that these both have contents in them, what we're going to go through now is our SQL statement. And this is where we are going to actually check through our database. This is where we're going to actually grab values from our database. So we're going to do SQL equals, and then I'm going to have the closing quote, or the semicolon to close it out. Got two double quotes going on right here for our SQL statement. We're going to go select star. Star means select all from our database, from our users database. Where is going to be our search criteria? So we're going to say where uname is equal to placeholder, which is our question mark, or email is equal to placeholder, because this could be either their email or their username. So that's what this is saying right here. We're going to have our statement, STMT. That's our statement, STMT, is equal to MySQLi underscore STMT underscore init. So we're initializing our connection, which is two n's in con. And we're going to check for a SQL injection. So we're going to say, we can actually copy and paste this from our signup helper as well. Just find one of those if statements that has the MySQLi underscore STMT underscore prepare. And make sure that you have an exclamation mark before that. Make sure that you have that in there. Some people had that error in the last one, so just double check. And in this case, I don't need to change too much. I'm just going to change which page I'm rerouting to if there is a SQL injection. So it's going to be login.php, and the error is still going to be SQL injection. Okay. So that's our SQL injection check. Else, we're going to actually do some binding the parameters. So this is where we're going to actually start executing this query, and we're going to put in values for the placeholders. So what we're going to do is MySQLi underscore STMT underscore bind underscore param. And this is going to be our statement. I'm going to actually copy and paste this in the next part because it's actually very similar. We're going to be doing an execute, and we're going to get the results. We're going to fetch the associative array, and we'll actually be able to do something with it. And it's just going to be uname, and then the other one is going to be the same variable, uname. All right, and I'm going to go back to signup helper. We're going to get our execute right here. But instead of storing the result, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to actually make another variable that's called result, and it's going to be MySQLi underscore STMT underscore get underscore result. And it's going to be STMT in there. And then the data is us getting the associative array from our result. So our data is going to be my SQLi underscore fetch underscore assoc. And that's going to be using our result. Okay. Now, it could be that the names that we put in were not a SQL injection. They were definitely not empty in both cases, but there's no user that is in our database associated with this person. The account doesn't exist. So the way we're going to check for this is we're going to see if this data right here is empty. If basically we didn't get any results left because we just searched through the database using this statement here. We didn't actually check to see if anything was there. So we're going to go if, and the condition is going to be if our data variable is empty. Well, that's going to be one of these headers with an error. So question mark error equals user DNE. User does not exist. Okay. Else, so assuming that the user does exist, now we're actually going to do a password check. So we're going to have another variable here called passcheck. And what that is equal to is this verify. It's password underscore verify. And what we're going to verify is our pass W with the password associated with the username, which is grabbed in our data variable here. So this is assuming that we actually have a record. It should only be one record because by default in our signup page, we don't allow for duplicate usernames. So our data is going to be password. One thing that we should check actually in our signup helper is we should see if the email is also taken. So we should actually have an or section right here where email is equal to that as well. But we're going to assume that people are just entering in usernames for right now. So assuming that this is true, this is how we're going to check right here. So if the value of passcheck is true, because this will give us a Boolean. This will give us a true or false. Either it's verified and these are the same after we decrypt, or it's not. So if our pass check is equal to true, we're going to start a session. So again, a session is basically whenever you're in the browser and you visit a website, you create session information. And that includes things like your username or like recent history, votes that you've made recently, which we'll be using for our review section. You can add all kinds of information into the session. but once someone closes out of the browser, the session's destroyed. You guys are familiar, especially like if you visit any website following the GDPR, how they have stuff about cookies, accept all cookies and stuff like that. And cookies last longer. There's security reasons one way or the other for using cookies or for a session. We're going to use sessions because it'll be easier for us to sign in and out of user accounts because the session will be destroyed after we close out of the browser. And you can set time to live basically for cookies and all kinds of other things for when they'll become invalid, but normally people set them for like, I don't know, a month, a year, however long. Anyway, so we're going to be calling the session variable, which is another global variable. And what we're going to be passing in is we're going to create these keys. So we're going to create a key which is going to be UID, and that's going to be from our data, and that's going to be the UID field. Now, again, this is something that you're going to have to check in your PHPMyAdmin to make sure that it's the same. PHPMyAdmin. All right, so again, this is coming from the users table. So I have a UID field here. I have a username that I'm going to also grab, and then their first name. And this will be used when we make our profile page. So this is why I'm storing it right now, so that when someone logs in, by default, we're going to give ourselves this information from the database so we don't have to go and look it up again. So we're going to use another session variable. Make sure that your global variables here, whether it's session and post, those are all going to have to be all uppercase. These keys that I'm specifying can be whatever you want them to be. It doesn't have to be UID or FNAME. Those are not part of the specifications or anything. These are fields. These are keys that I'm creating. The data field, however, is unique to whatever your database column names are. So I'm going to grab the first name. So I can be like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And the uname, I believe, is what I called the username field. Yeah, uname. So I'm going to grab that. And that's going to be equal to our data in square brackets, uname. Now, we don't have a profile page at the moment. So what's going to happen is after we have these, we're going to do this echo statement. And we're going to have a little h1 tag going on in here. And in there, it's going to be success. And then immediately following it is going to just be some information in a p tag. And I'm just going to close out this p tag right here. I'm going to put in their username. So the way I do that is in between these p tags right here, I'm going to put a period, a $, uname, because, yeah, that's the one right there, and then another period. Okay, I don't have any values in there, so I will go ahead and use the sign up page and create some. If you don't remember the passwords or whatever, I would suggest you do the same. Just create a brand new And so if the password check fails, then we're going to take them back to the login page because they got the wrong password, assuming they're not being a malicious person. And it's just going to be error equals wrong pass. And exit. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our signup page. And I'm going to, the username is going to be 123. 123 at 1.com. And the password for all of these accounts is going to be 123. So sign up equals success. I'm going to just go through and make sure that that was true. Great. Now, I'm going to go to my login.php. I'm going to reload this. And the username is going to be 123. Password is going to be 123. Success. And there is something wrong with my P statement right there. I've got a feeling I'm supposed to use double quotes instead. There we go. All right, yeah, use double quotes instead. I had my suspicions when this wasn't turning up blue. So use double quotes in the echo statement. And you should be in business. We'll modify this when we do our interesting. Okay, usually you need some dots going on right here, but apparently not. Oh, it's probably only when I'm concatenating other stuff. Okay. Yeah, all right, that works. So just give yourself a little success message, help yourself out. These echo statements are basically the PHP equivalent of print statements. So that's basically the lab for this week. Make some modifications to your login page, get some nice photos going on in there, and I will post specifications later. And that's basically a login page. We will probably continue adding functionality to this, especially to the signup page. We're going to want to add some password complexity requirements to this. We'll want to be checking for the username as well. But that's all for right now.